The kimchi, there's basically a couple of steps involved. The first step is your Napa cabbage. And I started out with a huge head of Napa cabbage, and I cut off the bottom probably ½ inch of the Napa cabbage to get rid of the part that was dried out and nasty. And then I took it and took all the leaves off, washed them, and I had another giant bowl besides this one. You can see this is a really large bowl. I had another bowl besides this I had the cabbage sitting in. And after I cut it up into probably pieces that are probably maybe 1 inch by 2 inches, something like that. The best way to do this is to take the individual, first quarter the Napa cabbage, and then take the very bottom where the core is and cut that off at maybe like a ½ inch, because that's very hard. And then take the rest of those sections that you've quartered lengthwise and cut those about into 1.5 inches or so piece, and that makes a real nice size for the kimchi. Then what you want to do is have all that stuff sitting in one bowl, and then in this bowl here, what you want to do is add your salt to it. And you want to add a handful of the Napa cabbage, and then a very generous amount of kosher salt. Mix that all up really well with your hands, and then do another handful, add another generous amount of kosher salt, do that, and just keep repeating till you get all the way up the top. Then you put a plate on top of this in a pan or something that's very heavy to press that down, because what you want to do is to drive all the moisture out of those cabbage leaves. And over here, I'm showing you the other part of the process. This is the salt you want to use, regular kosher salt. And then the second part of the process is after your cabbage is salted and rinsed. That's the other thing you have to do. After it's been setting for like 12 hours, you have to take and rinse the cabbage very well to get all the salt out. And then separately, you have in another bowl, you have different ingredients that are added in. And I've modified this recipe to the way I like it. And you could do the same thing, of course, with yours. You know, add more or less garlic and onions, whatever. This has 3 green onions in here that I chopped up, 3 jalapeno peppers that I chopped up, a very large shallot that I diced, slivered here, and probably, well, about an equal portion of this of daikon radish, maybe a little more, that I slivered into very thin little pieces. These really want to be very, very thin as you can get them. And then I've got about 2 tablespoons of garlic here. This will also go into that bowl. And then all of this is going to get mixed with a healthy amount of fresh ginger, probably about 3 tablespoons of finely diced fresh ginger that I've got over here. I haven't prepped that yet. And then a whole tube of anchovy paste. The anchovy paste is important for the fermentation process, in my opinion. I suppose in theory you could do it without it, but I think it's a real important component. In the traditional recipes, I'm told they actually use raw oysters, so I guess if you're brave, you could experiment with that. And this is one of the critical components here. This is your red chili pepper powder. This is the Korean product. It's difficult to find, but they have it at that Chinese market in Portland. You can actually find it down there. And you add a ridiculous amount of this to the mixture for your cabbage. Probably add about a ½ cup of this stuff, actually. It's just a crazy amount. So that's about it for right now. And then I'll make another video later when I start doing the assembly of all this.